I'm Salvatore Babones, and I'm here to talk Australia-China relations. Today I'd like to feature an article by, me at the trade journal Times Higher Education. It's about the coronavirus crisis and how it may spell the end of an era. It may actually simply mean the end for international education. We've been talking for months now about travel bans preventing Chinese students from coming to Australia or also New Zealand or North America to continue their studies. What we haven't really thought about is the possibility that China may put travel bans on us. That's right. China, of course, has now seemingly defeated or at least suppressed transmission of the coronavirus, but it is spreading like wildfire in Australia, the United States, New Zealand, probably going to hit Canada, United Kingdom as well. These are all prime study abroad destinations for Chinese students. Now, if I were a Chinese parent, I wouldn't want to be sending my student to go start college or university this August or September in Australia or the United States, especially when leaders in those countries are talking about a 6 to 18 month timeline for bringing the coronavirus under control. If we still have endemic coronavirus in July, it is inconceivable that Chinese parents will send their kids to come study in Australia. Ditto United States, UK in August. What's more, the Chinese government has three very strong reasons for trying to shut down international education. One, their own universities need the students. China, because of the one-child policy, of course, has a small generations and declining generations coming up for the next, several decades. But throughout the 2020s, the numbers of students reaching university age will be declining every year in China throughout the decade. Well, Chinese universities are already facing the strain, and in fact, the government has already ordered many lower-level Chinese universities to convert themselves into trade schools and other kind of schools because there's just no need for China to have so many universities anymore. We've already seen this happen in Korea, in Taiwan, in Japan, to a lesser extent, where universities are having to close down for lack of students. Well, China has something like 700,000 to 900,000, depending how you count, international students studying abroad. Bringing them home would be very welcome for China's own universities. Two, foreign exchange. China has been facing a crisis since before the US-China trade war started, and its currency has been under pressure. As a result, instead of liberalizing the yuan, which it was doing to try to promote internationalization, it has been tightening convertibility on the yuan, trying to make it harder and harder for people to bring foreign currency out of the country. Well, international education, that's a $30 billion a year leakage through China's currency controls. $30 billion might not sound like a lot in the context of China's $3 trillion foreign currency reserves, but I guarantee you every $30 billion counts, even for China. Number three, massive propaganda win. China claimed racism. China went crazy in its consulates and embassies when the United States and Australia placed travel restrictions on China back on February 1st and February 2nd. Well, now the shoe is on the other foot. China would be perfectly justified in placing travel restrictions on Americans and Australians this June, July coming up, if the coronavirus is still endemic in our countries and not in theirs. Now, of course, right now that doesn't matter because there's no international travel going on. And of course, countries like Australia and the US have stopped travel both ways for now. But as the crisis lightens up, Australia, the United States, other Western countries will start to open travel again. And when they start to open travel, it would be a great propaganda victory for China to say no one can travel from China to those countries that have endemic coronavirus. Remember, the US, UK, Australian health authorities have gone on record as saying they intend to let the coronavirus become endemic. Well, that's not going to cut it. When people are sending their kids off to a country to school, ask yourself, would you send your kid off to school in a country that had endemic coronavirus if your country was free? Well, China is very likely to declare a massive propaganda victory in July and August and simply say our students shouldn't be going somewhere where they may fall ill. And really, who could blame them? That's three good reasons, aside from the health reasons, why China is likely to pull all, if not all, then most of its students. If not most, then at least prevent new students from starting international education in abroad. And that is, I think, almost certain to happen. Now, for U.S. universities, they can survive this kind of hit. For Australian universities, many of which are, some of which are over 50% international, many of them are well over 20% international. I mean, half of Australia's universities, even player universities are over 20% international students. That's fee-paying international students in Australia. That's not PhD students on scholarships. So Australian universities are in for a very difficult second half of 2020. If you think Australian universities have problems now with the coronavirus epidemic, just wait till July. Those of us who work in education should all be very worried.